With BPMN, you as a business analyst are able to portray the complex reality into a simple BPMN diagram, hence making reality visible and making it possible for you to see and understand issues in the business process within your company, bottlenecks, chances and risks overall. Let me show with an example what I exactly mean. This BPMN diagram displays the loan request process within a bank. This is just an example for illustration purposes. Let's say there are just 3 roles within the bank: the back office, the compliance, and the client advisor. Let's say a client wants to have a loan, hence sends a loan request to the back office. This could be via application, via an app, or via a letter. It doesn't matter right now. Let's say the back office employee has to check the documents and asks him or herself, are all documents okay? If that is the case, then the loan request goes to the compliance officer. Here, the compliance officer checks the background of the person, of the loan requester. After this, the client advisor comes into play and assesses the risk of the person who is requesting the loan. And if the client advisor thinks it's worth talking to the client in more detail, then the advisor is contacting the client, setting up a meeting or so, and that's it. So there are some next steps which I just exclude here for demonstration purposes, but let's assume that's the business process. The great thing with BPMN is now we have captured the complex reality, the current state, the as-is state of this business process. If we have a process engine or KPIs around, we could maybe see something like this. Let's say the bank receives 100 requests a day. And let's also assume the process takes on average 0.5 hours for each run, so 30 minutes. And let's assume the employees involved in this process on average make $30 an hour, meaning we have 100 runs every day. Let's take this times 0.5 hours, which one completion takes, which actually mean 50 hours a day. And as we know, $30 per hour is the average salary or hourly rate. Let's multiply this with the 50 hours and we get $1,500. So each day this process takes us $1,500. After we have understood this, we as a business analyst, or you as a business analyst, have the job to really think about, okay, based on this process diagram or this complex reality, what could we change to make the process more efficient in terms of time efficiency or lowering the costs or enhancing quality? It's also possible. And let's assume this assess risk task of the client advisor is something super manual. So the client advisor has to look through multiple Excel sheets, has to look or check in multiple systems just to get this value out, if it's worth talking to the client or not. And this could be a potential chance for you as a business analyst to optimize the business process. What if you could replace this manual task of assessing the risk with a simple API call? So if you change the system in a way that the client advisor doesn't have to check in these systems or in these Excel sheets, but just maybe has to press one button, an API call to various systems is done, and it returns a value which indicates if the client advisor should talk to this client in more detail or not. And this is the power why BPMN is so important, because it really shows you the reality, and you can manipulate the reality very easily without actually touching the reality itself, because everything is on a model and a diagram on paper first, so you can conceptually change the reality and find out what would be worth doing as a next step. If you also assume that maybe an API call or just a more automated solution can maybe put the time of this process in half, so not 30 minutes, just 15 minutes, this would mean per day we could save $750. So if it's $750 saved per day, let's assume we have 20 business days a month, this would equal $15,000 each month. $15,000 a month equals $180,000 a year. So if we assume that we could really decrease the time of this process in half by having the same amount of runs every day, we could actually save $180K a year, each year, right? So you could think of what would it cost to actually establish such a solution so we are able to decrease the time of this process in half. And this could be actually an investment and return on investment actually. Let's assume it costs us maybe $200K to do this. After a year and a half, we actually get our money back, because with these process improvements, we actually save some money, and so we have a great ROI on this case. As a business analyst, you really have the power to thrive internal case studies to actually optimize processes, lower costs, save some time, or actually increase the quality. And that's why BPMN is so important.